Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse podcast. This is episode number 457. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today we've got Kevin Rakestraw. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going okay.
Nice.
Going okay. I'm next week's show. I'll finally be in my new house. So it's been a 7-month journey of me podcasting from temporary setups all over the place, but the house will be ready.
Finally.
I couldn't be more excited. This week on the show, we'll be kicking off our Fantastic Fest coverage with... We're going to kick it off with a bang this week, and we're going to do a review of Shin Ultraman. We'll also be going over some we're watching on the watch list and this week's new releases in theaters, VOD, and Blu-ray. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Please remember to review us on iTunes if you get a moment. That'd be great. New Saved by the 90s going to drop this week. If you recall, this is going to be part 2 of our Erie, Indiana retrospective. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be dropping that on Thursday. We also have a theme for our Halloween episode. You know what? I think I'm just going to say what it is right now because I'm really excited about it.
That's
Stephen King. Stephen King.
Yeah, buddy.
Yep. We're gonna be doing 4 Stephen King movies, and there's I think 2 of the 4 I've never seen before. So
can I download it now?
Not yet. Gotta watch the movies and record it first. But yeah, I'm pretty excited. So yeah, I'll keep everybody posted on that, but that probably won't be coming until probably towards the end of the month of October.
I do like how that exists is you could probably make like 8 episodes with that theme.
Oh yeah, man. Like, so
there's gotta be like 40 Stephen King.
There's a lot of Stephen King output in the 90s. So yeah, there were definitely a lot that we could choose from. Nice. Anyway, let's go ahead. Talk about Shin Ultraman. This is playing at Fantastic Fest. This played at a couple other festivals as well, leading up to, I don't know when it did come out in Japan, but I don't know if it has a release date here in the States just yet. If you recall, this was on both of our most anticipated lists for, I don't know, 3 years?
Maybe. I've
been reading about anticipating, waiting for this thing forever, it seems. And we finally get to see it. It's screening Fantastic Fest. It's directed by Shinji Higuchi. Now, he was the co-director of Shin Godzilla, which we talked about quite a long time ago on the show. Both of us absolutely adore Shin Godzilla.
Correct.
This is written by Hideaki Anno, who was the other director on Shin Godzilla. I have a synopsis here. As the threat of giant unidentified life forms known as S-class species worsens in Japan, a silver giant appears from beyond Earth's atmosphere. Now, I will preface this by saying I never really knew a whole lot about Ultraman. I had other than seeing clips in the past and having a very basic knowledge of the character, that's pretty much all I had going into this movie. Not a fan of Ultraman, never was. Anytime I would see anything that was kind of revolving around Ultraman, I thought it looked too much like Power Rangers to me. And I was never into Power Rangers, so yeah, Ultraman was never appealing to me. However, when this was first announced and some teasers and stuff first came out, I got very excited because of how much I loved Shin Godzilla, and gotta say, was not disappointed with this one. This movie's great, and it is pretty much not on the same level as Shin Godzilla. I still like that more. But what is here is great. I think that it's hard to live up to Shin Godzilla, but
Yeah,
holy
I
cow.
think, me and you were talking about this before we started recording, is that I think it's that familiarity bias. Like if perhaps if we were fans of Ultraman, or at least had more knowledge of Ultraman like we do with Godzilla, we might be like
Yeah.
putting that up there. But, you know, still, I mean, for me, I'm much the same as you. As my knowledge, I know what he looks like. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I know. And I have no feelings towards Ultraman whatsoever. Uh, After watching this movie, I love Ultraman.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of him. I just, for some reason, the face, like the design of this, of his outfit or whatever it is, just the mouth shape and the eyes and just him staring blankly at things and just the way that he moves. He's cracking me up. I'm a big fan of Ultraman. I was just cheering for this guy. He's so ridiculous. And I also like the point that this is normally when we cover festivals, we try and do smaller movies or maybe movies that aren't as big or aren't going to get as much coverage. You know what I mean? But I think
Mhm.
this points to me and you. Just this is where us as movie lovers is just taken over, and we just want to watch this so goddamn bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just made an excuse. We're like, we're watching Ultraman. We're doing it.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as I saw it on the list, I was like, okay, well, that's number one. That's the big one. So yeah, there's, man, the my anticipation level and my excitement level of this was so high. I thought that I was going to set myself up for disaster. I was like, oh man, I'm just. I was kind of thinking that it was going to end up being like What to Do with the Dead Kaiju, because that was another one that I was really excited about, and I was like hugely disappointed with that one.
Hmm.
But this one is like that done right. It is such a perfect blend of new and old, and it they just it's a difficult balancing act to pay close homage to those original ones, because when you look at the old Godzillas or Ultramans or any of the other kaiju properties, like they're cheesy. They're cheesy, they're corny, they're
Yes.
goofy. And I think that just honoring them and also bringing them into the modern era, I think it's just difficult. And this movie, I think, strikes that balance so well, where yeah, sure, there's some goofy stuff there, but um there's also enough like modern touches that make a lot of the scenes just so entertaining and just so engaging.
Yeah.
Like I was hooked right from
And
the
I think,
beginning.
yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah. Because the opening sequence of this is just them kind of like catching you up to speed of all the kaijus that have happened. And it's just rapid fire,
oh
It's like
yeah, yeah.
introducing to a new kaiju. Here's what they named it, and it was defeated. This is what it did. It fed on radiation or whatever, and it was defeated. It's just like a just rapid fire, just going through, and it gets you so jazzed up because you're like, for me, and I'm sure it was Shin Godzilla. So this is kind of like it kind of gets you amped up, like getting you hyped up to get back into that type of a movie, and
Hmm.
it worked wonders because
Yeah.
after that introduction, I'm like, hell yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be disappointed.
Yeah, they do such a good job of getting you up to speed, and I mean, it hits the ground running. Like it starts off fast and furious with all these kaiju and introducing you to the SSSR, I think they're called, where they're like the task force that's was formed specifically to engage with these kaiju and take care of them and study them. And that's like Shin Godzilla. There's a lot of that happening in this movie too, where it's like sort of the political thriller aspect. And all that was those were some of my favorite parts of Shin Godzilla. And they do bring that back here. It's not as prominent in this one, but they still give you that same kind of political intrigue that was present in Shin Godzilla. And with that, you get the absolutely insane cinematography in this, which
Yes.
is absolutely a highlight. Like the cinematography in this is just, it's wild, man. And I love every second of it. The angles, the framing, I mean, like weird, like experimental shots and stuff that they do, like that don't even need to happen. Like there's this one really great scene where it's like I don't think it is a split diopter shot, but it looks like one almost, where the camera is like positioned on someone's leg, and the leg takes up almost the entire frame, and then you just have this little sliver where you can see another character who's sitting next to them, and they're the one talking. And it's just like small scenes like that are just I don't know, they're just exciting to see. It's sort of like I remember there was a scene in Shin Godzilla where I think the camera was like mounted on a chair or
Yeah.
something, and like that scene turned out to be like one of my favorites. There's a scene in this movie too where they mount the camera on a remote, so
Yes.
they're like flipping through like a TV remote, and the camera's like mounted on the remote. It's just a lot of really cool stylish touches in this.
It's silly. It becomes its own like kind of in movie game of like where's the camera going to show up next? Is it going to be inside a bag of chips?
Hmm.
Yes, it might.
Yeah. They did put the camera in a bag of chips at one point. It's
Why
awesome
not?
though. It looks.
Yeah,
It's
because usually if that's something they could very simply like if this was in another movie, it would just be like, okay, this is kind of overkill. This is a bit ridiculous. But for some reason in these two movies, it's just like I'm hooting and hollering when it shows up inside a bag of chips or it's mounted on a remote control. Normally
I
I'm kind of like, this is unnecessary. This is a bit ridiculous. There's no need to do this.
I
But
think it's because when it does, like during the kaiju fights, it's pretty normal as far as like cinematography goes. The way that they shoot the kaiju fights is much like the old kaiju movies of the 60s. But when they start to get really creative it's like the other scenes, like the
the most
office
mundane,
scenes.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think that, like, during those scenes, those a lot of times those scenes are like pretty high stress, tension filled scenes where like there's a kaiju attacking, or in the case of this movie, sometimes it's like an extraterrestrial or whatever, and they're like scrambling to figure out how they can defeat this thing, how they can stop it, all of that. And so those scenes are a bit more tense, and just when they add those crazy framing and camera angles to it, it just adds this really great layer on top of it, and I've completely fucking love it. I think it's just so good.
Yeah, I think it just heightens the fun aspect of it.
Yeah.
Just
And that's the other
everything's
thing.
so fun.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, sure, there are serious moments in this movie, but they never lose sight of fun. Like there's jokes, there's banter, there's like the team has this really great relationship with each other where they're like able to kind of poke fun at each other and stuff. And so everything is kept pretty light. It's not like one of the American Godzilla movies or something where it's just so goddamn serious and dire.
Well, I think that's the other aspect of this that I think really makes these films special, because not only are they fun and do they do a good job of kind of capturing that old kind of hokiness, but also updating it. But like the writing is so good because like with American movies when they tackle Godzilla or something, they have the Godzilla stuff, which you can tell they put all their resources into capturing. But everything in between that is just so god awful.
Yeah.
And you're just sitting there, the audiences are just sitting there being like, okay, please, Like I just got to put up with this until we get to more Godzilla. Here they do a great job. The writing is fantastic. The the whole premise of having a government department that it's their sole job of trying to determine what the kaiju is, how the kaiju works, how to defeat the kaiju, where they're learning in real time as you're watching. So essentially everything that they're doing is information dumps, but they don't feel that way.
Yeah, I think that it's the way that these movies are laid out, contrasting them with the American ones. All the American kaiju movies end up feeling like Roland Emmerich style disaster movies, uh, especially the the one that Roland Emmerich directed. But like even the newer Godzilla movies, they still kind of have that disaster movie vibe to them, where you have an ensemble cast, and then in between the Godzilla or monster fights or whatever, you have these character arc moments where it's like, you know, a child that's trying to rekindle their relationship with their father or their mother, whatever, and then it's like and they also, like, in between that, you have the science aspect of it where they have to explain everything about what they're seeing. Whereas in this movie, it's more about the politics of it. It's more about the procedure, and
Yeah.
they don't feel the need to explain everything because it's just not necessary. Like when there's a giant monster attacking the Earth, you don't need to figure out where it came from. You need to figure out how to stop it. And then, you know, later you could probably look into where it came from.
But I
But
also
you'll
like that it seems like after a while they gave up on why are we getting them,
yeah.
which is they kind of allude to. But I do like that you're learning the stuff about the kaiju, like the one where it's like he's invisible, and then it gets to the essentially the power grid, and they're talking you through it because they're kind of learning it as they go, and they're like, oh well, maybe if we shut down the power, and then of course the kaiju gets pissed off and completely destroys everything,
Hmm.
and they're so bummed out because they're like, damn, okay. So, so I just
It's all
love
trial
that,
and error.
yeah, that it's not super serious. It's like it's yet there's still it's still information dumps, but it doesn't feel that way at all. Like like you were saying, American films where it's like they have to explain the science. Like the science here is like pretty simple, and it's happening organically. It's not just like a scientist walks into the room and explains to everyone and us, the audience, as well. No, it's happening while they're doing their job.
It's done so much better than all of those American ones. I mean, it's night and day, really. The other thing that I loved is the music in this by Shiro Sagisu. The score was awesome. I loved pretty much every musical number in this. It was this really, for the most part, it felt very old school.
Hmm.
Like a lot of it felt like it was maybe even like a reuse like original stuff from, from back in the 60s, because it felt so authentic. But then, like, towards the end, during some of the big fight scenes and some of the big battles, he like kind of switched it up and made it like this more kind of metal sound, and I loved it. I love the score. I thought it was really really awesome. And again, I always say this when I talk about the score in film, is that a lot of times it's not something I notice.
Yeah.
Um, but I typically do notice it if it's really good or really bad. And the score in this is just so good. Like I would gladly listen to this like outside of the movie.
Yeah. I think another thing I'm not 100% sure because, again, I don't know a ton of Ultraman. I don't know the story of Ultraman and everything. But this movie's pretty much 2 hours long, right? And it feels like they got the entire story of Ultraman into one movie.
Yeah, I got
Because it's
that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did. Yeah, it's definitely an origin story.
because
But
it's like everything. Because you can break it down. You can look at this movie and break it into pieces and be like, okay, I could see where someone, if they hate audiences, they could turn this story that you're seeing here in 2 hours to break it into three separate films.
yeah, because there's the kaiju portion, and that's just one portion. We didn't even talk about the extraterrestrial stuff. Like the kaiju stuff is just at the beginning of the movie. Then you have this alien that comes down and gives them problems. And then there's another alien after that.
Yeah,
And we
it's like
do
three movies just
it,
squished
it
into one.
is. It is like three movies. It's kind of wild like that they pack so much into this. And I think that like I don't know if that's to the detriment of it because I mean I feel like it's a little bit front loaded in that at least for me the kaiju stuff was the most exciting stuff, and then it like got a little bit less exciting with the other two enemies that he goes up against, especially the final one. I'm just like I don't know, but yeah. So if I had to criticize it, I would say I do think
Yeah,
it's a little bit front loaded.
yeah. But even then, because I would agree, yeah, it's a little bit front loaded. But at the same time, I'm like, man, it's pretty damn impressive that they were able to pack this much in to a 2 hour film.
And
And then
but
it,
that's the
it
thing.
didn't it didn't once feel like it was dragging forever.
Exactly. Like yes, they do pack a lot in, but it's not messy. It's very well organized and it's very well paced too. Like they keep things running at a really nice clip. And there's a lot of shit that happens in this movie. I mean, this is
Yeah. Oh yeah.
an epic movie. My only concern would be like if this is the start of a new franchise, I would hope that they keep Higuchi and Anno at the helm because I feel like that this is something that could easily go off the rails and become just like the same old stuff.
Yeah.
I think that it's the two of them that really make these movies something special. And
Oh, definitely. Because like you were saying beforehand, where you were like, "Oh, okay, I could be disappointed in this." You quickly, very quickly becomes evident that this is going to be the exact same type of film as Shin Godzilla,
mhm.
just with Ultraman instead of Godzilla. It's the exact same feel, the exact same flavor.
Yep.
Like it's exactly the same, really, and I love it for that.
And I will say like talking about the visual aspects of it, it's definitely on a level above most of like the big type of like effects laden blockbuster movies you get out of Japan. Now it's not going to be on the same level as something that we see here in the States, but I still love the visuals because like the rest of the movie, the visuals in this, the effects are a really great blend of new and old. You have CG in here, but a lot of it is you can't even tell. You can't tell if it's CG or a man in a costume.
Hmm.
The way that they design the CG, like they make it look like it's a person in a costume even if it isn't. And if that makes sense. And then also they add there's this like kind of haze over everything. Like
Hmm.
it looks kind of washed out or like a grain over everything. And that kind of gives it more of a classic aesthetic.
Yeah, and
And,
you have
and
you. There's two other aspects to this that I think are better than what you normally see in American films. One, you get a good idea of scale.
oh yeah.
Like the camera's pulled back, you can see what's happening, And much of it takes place during the daytime.
during the
There's
day.
actual light. You can see things. It's insane.
And also, there's a scene that takes place in space, and you can see everything that's happening there too.
Get out of town. You
Yeah.
can see things in this movie. It's wild. Who would have thought? Novel idea.
By the way, not giving anything away, but the black hole scene is incredible. Like
Yeah.
just how they shot that, the visuals of that, and then going with that, there's also these kind of really stylish scenes when Ultraman's fighting and he's like flying, and they go with that red background. Oh my god, it. I mean, it was just perfect. I loved it.
Yeah, they're actually fighting places. They're fighting in cities. By like they're also fighting by like a nuclear waste facility. They're fighting, an actual like determinate locations.
Yeah, they're not fighting in the ocean, in the
Or
middle of the ocean
a
at
parking
midnight, where
lot,
you can't see a goddamn thing.
an airport.
Yeah. No, yeah, there's you can see everything in this, and it's great. And yeah, there's a lot of destruction as far as like buildings and such. Like there's one scene where something happens that I didn't expect at all, and it's like in the middle of a city, and you're just like, what? It comes out of nowhere too, and you're just like, wait a minute, what is going on here? It's like another giant person walking through
Yes,
the city.
which
You're just like, what?
I'm kind of hoping that if they do make a sequel, that's the sequel. Is that it just kind of gets out of hand, and that there's a lot of giant people. We just made
Yeah,
too many giant people.
and it looks really good. Like the effects work, the like compositing, however they did it, looks really good. Again, I will compare it to What to Do with the Dead Kaiju, because I saw that very recently, and that's like a new movie. It's not even out yet, I don't think, in the States. And that movie looked like absolute garbage in comparison. Like it looked, I'm sure that the budgets are quite different, but just, man, it was night and day, night and day. So basically, I loved this movie, and I highly recommend it. Even if you're not into Ultraman, like I don't know anything about Ultraman. I'm not even planning on going. I'm not even gonna go watch any of the old Ultraman stuff. I don't care. But this is, if they make a sequel, I will see it immediately.
Yes, 100%. I'm exactly the same as you, because even while I was watching, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll check out more Ultraman. I'm not going to. I got my
Yeah,
fill.
I mean, it's
Unless
just,
they
I
come
don't
out with
know.
another one.
All right, let's go ahead and give it a score. Man, I am high on this one. I'm like, I think Shin Godzilla was at a 9, and I think for this one I'm like 8.5. But man, I don't even know. It was so good. I might even, like, Shin Godzilla might be like a 9.5. This would be a 9.
Yeah, I gotcha. I'm thinking I'm sitting at like an 8.5 as well. I think I have Shin Godzilla at a 10. Mostly just because, like, I think once a week I think about the level up purple beam.
Oh my god.
Like, I think about that a lot.
I think about that transformation a lot too, which
Yeah,
is interesting because
it was absolutely insane. It's everything you want in a modern Godzilla movie, and we finally got it.
unfortunately I don't know when we'll get it again, because I think Legendary still has the rights.
It's okay. We got it once. We
Yeah.
can go back to it anytime we want. It's great.
All right, so that is Shin Ultraman. I don't know if that's playing, because there is like a Fantastic Fest at Home festival that's going to be kicking off right after the in-person one.
Okay.
And I don't know if this is part of that, but if it is well worth whatever the cost is of a virtual ticket. So
Without a doubt.
absolutely check it out. This came out in May, by the way, in Japan, from the looks of it. All right, let's move on and talk about some of what we've been watching. I started with, since we're talking about Fantastic Fest, I'll kick things off with some of the stuff that I saw there so far. Just started. So very early. I saw A Life on the Farm. This is directed by Oscar Harding. This is a documentary about this tape that was found in the director's grandfather's stuff. So after his grandfather passed away, they went through his stuff, found this tape, and on the tape it was a feature-length home movie of this guy who was a farmer, and it was his grandfather's neighbor who owned this farm, and he made this like documentary called A Life on the Farm, and it was just like him setting up a tripod and shooting stuff. And it was a very strange thing that this guy made, and it turned out that he would like make them for all the people around town and stuff, and he would like make different cuts of it depending on who he gave a copy to. And this movie is just about like who this guy was, this like what he was into, a little bit into his backstory, and like sort of the legend behind this very strange movie that he made. And it's really good. I feel like there are some pieces missing, and I don't know if this is just like unknown information, but like when they get into the guy's life and stuff, they mentioned that they thought that he had some kids, but like the kids are nowhere. They're not involved in this movie at all, and I feel like maybe I don't know, maybe he didn't have kids, but I feel like maybe they could have been a little bit more clear with that. But other than that, it's very well put together. The editing is great. It's not your typical talking head documentary. It's I would think it's definitely a step up from that. But it's also just a fascinating kind of slice of life story, and I would definitely recommend it, especially if you're into like the kind of weird found footage type stuff.
Yeah.
Like real found footage.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's sad, but it's also very macabre too. Like some of the stuff that this dude made that's in this movie is pretty dark and not what you would expect.
I have to check that out, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a look.
I progressed in Nightmare on Elm Street and watched part 2, Freddy's Revenge.
Ooh,
Shoulder.
the gay one.
The gay one. I was kind of, because you mentioned that, right? And I was kind of expecting going into this to be like super gay, and to be thinking like, wow, it's kind of surprising that no one really saw that when this came out. But it's not as gay as I thought it was going to be. But it is kind of wild though, because I'll say this is what I love about this one is, they took the original Freddy story. I was a little bit worried at the outset of this because the kid Jesse, he moves into the old house, right? And that's kind of how it's set up and everything. And I was kind of worried where I'm like, okay, they're just going to do the first movie again with new people, and they're not going to really change anything because it's the same house. It's just going to be Freddy scaring a new group of teenagers. And that's it. But what I loved about this is that they progressed it a little bit in that Freddy uses Jesse to come into the real world, which is phenomenal because they start breaking down the dream world and reality. They blur that line. They completely get rid of it. And then dream logic comes into reality, which is fantastic. And they do a great job of it. But it's messed up that like one of the first things that they do is, they mention the gym teacher of going to like S&M bars or whatever. And you kind of think that Jesse goes to the S&M bar. You're like, oh, this is kind of like a dream or something. But then afterwards, you're like, no, that high school kid went to the gay bar, and that teacher was there, and like took him back to the school, which is just fucked up. It's really fucked up.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, while I didn't love it as much as the first one because some of the visuals in the first one you just can't top. Like we talked about the first kill, being dragged around the ceiling and stuff, and all the blood. The Johnny Depp kill with the bed vomits, all that.
Yeah,
blood.
yeah. I mean, they're.
I'm sorry.
You can't. Yeah, you can't.
But this one does come pretty close. They do some great stuff in it. Like
I'm excited.
the pool party is nuts.
Yeah, I stand by what I said a couple weeks ago when I said that I think that the Elm Street franchise is the most interesting out of all of the slasher movies because they try different things in every one of the sequels. I would also recommend checking out Scream Queen: My Nightmare on Elm Street from 2019. It's a documentary about Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Okay.
And it's pretty interesting because the the main guy, Mark Patton, he is gay, but like when they were making the movie, like he didn't know, like he didn't really know, and it's really interesting. Continuing my Fantastic Fest 2022 journey, I saw Deep Fear. This is directed by Gregory Begin. This is a French horror movie that takes place in the Paris catacombs. You know, we've seen this before, but it was a setting that I think is fascinating enough that I'll any movie where I hear that it takes place in the Paris catacombs, I'll check it out.
Mm-hmm.
The different thing about this is that it's actually not really in the Paris catacombs. It's sort of in a different section from what you think of when you think of the catacombs. And what you have here is it takes place in 1991, and it's a group of friends who are celebrating their graduation. One of them is about to head off into the army, and for their like kind of last adventure, they meet up with this guy who's going to take them through the catacombs. And it not like a tour, but like the hidden parts.
Yeah.
And when they're down there, they end up crossing paths with a group of skinheads. And after trying to escape the skinheads, they end up in this part of the catacombs that's like they weren't even sure. They kind of get lost. So what happens is there's something else down there. I'll keep it vague, but they have to escape the catacombs, all the while avoiding the skinheads and this other thing that's down there.
Mm.
It starts off interesting enough. I liked the way that it started off, but it kind of lost me about halfway through. Once you figure out where it's going and what the kind of big reveals are, it gets less interesting to me. When you find out like what it is that's going after them, it's just not that great. At the end of the day, it's pretty average. Like, it's not horrible. It's well acted. The characters were decent. The effects work and the locations and stuff were decent. The lighting was quite good. Some of the cinematography is actually very good. When they're like they're kind of in the tunnels before the catacombs, and there's like all this like graffiti and stuff, and it looks really cool. But yeah, didn't really stick with me, this one. Again, it's Deep Fear. Feels like a Shudder movie for sure.
It sounds like one. Definitely.
Yeah, I would be surprised if this did not become a Shudder movie.
I watched one that's not on Shudder, which is kind of surprising. That's a House on Haunted Hill. Remember that from 1999?
Oh, you better believe I remember that. I love that movie. I unabashedly love that movie.
Yeah.
Chris
Kattan, Jeffrey Rush, Hallie Larder,
Taye Diggs,
Famke Jensen, Peter Gallagher. That's a 90s cast. That is a 90s.
Oh my god. When you think of 90s horror movies, like this has to be one of the main ones that pops into your head.
Yeah,
it has to be.
It's the thing is I forgot all about it until I was looking for a movie, and I was looking through 90s horror movies, and this popped up, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot all about this movie. So, for those that don't know, it's a remake of the William Castle House on Haunted Hill from 1959 with Vincent Price. Jeffrey Rush plays the Vincent Price character, and great casting because it's it's perfect. There's no one better else to play Vincent Price.
Mm-hmm.
And just the idea of this millionaire, if he's supposed to be throwing a birthday party for his wife, who he doesn't like at all. So he decides to like, oh fuck it, I'm gonna do my own thing just to entertain myself, and I'm gonna just strangers. They're gonna come. I'm gonna offer $1 million if they can spend the night in this horrible like. It's not really a haunted house. It's a haunted like hospital, mental asylum type deal. Just the biggest hospital you've ever seen in your life. Just built in the worst location, but very striking building. And it turns out, the house is indeed haunted and it's pretty much alive and it's going to ruin your life. And it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's super brutal in places, which I don't quite remember it being. I was kind of taken aback.
Oh yeah, it's bloody.
Yeah, this is I was kind of shocked. I thought this was going to be dumber. Like I remember it being dumber than like as I was watching it, like it's still kind of silly in parts just because of the whole premise, but it's much better than I remember it being. I
Yeah,
respected it a
this
lot more
movie.
this time around. Like it's a pretty damn good movie.
Yeah, I think it's stupid, but in a really fun way. I think.
But yeah, I mean it's him. Like he has this guy that does like his scares from because I love like the opening of like his amusement park, the elevator
The
ride.
elevator. Oh, I
Yeah,
love it.
fucking
It's
genius.
awesome. Yeah, it's
And you think like, okay, they're manipulating a lot of this stuff, and then you're trying to figure out like, okay, did he manipulate it? Did he not? And then it becomes quite clear that
he
none
did
of it
not.
is.
He
Yeah,
did not.
he's not doing anything.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome movie. Highly recommend House on Haunted Hill if you haven't seen that yet. The quintessential 90s horror movie, I think.
It is. It's definitely up there. I mean, it's got Ali Larter, which
Yep.
what is she? What is
Famke and Famke Jensen, like just
yeah, what is she doing now?
Ali Larter.
Yeah,
I've seen her I see her in stuff like advertised. Like I'll get emails about stuff. She does small stuff.
it's
Um,
huge.
the only other Fantastic Fest one that I saw so far was Bad City. This is a Japanese action movie directed by Kensuke Tsunomura. This it's sort of a throwback, this one, to kind of like the 90s Japanese action movies where it was just, pretty convoluted stories that are punctuated with bouts of ultra violence, and that's kind of what this is. Hitoshi Ozawa stars in it as a cop who was accused of murder, and a special task force is formed to bring down this like big conglomerate, and they bring him out to lead up this task force, and then they pull everybody like the best people from the violent crimes division, and they have to figure out like basically they know that this like guy running for mayor is corrupt, and they just need the evidence. So they end up uncovering this like big conspiracy that involves like the Korean mafia, and then the Yakuza, and then this giant corporation, as I mentioned. And it's a little messy. The action is meh. It doesn't really hold up to what the today's standards of action are. However, Tak Sakaguchi is in this. He plays like one of the main bad guys, and he's awesome in it. So if you're a fan of Tak's movies and his action stuff that he does, then you'll like this because he's in like maybe 4 fight scenes. Even though he's a bad guy, he's in it quite a bit. And yeah, you see him fight like maybe four times, and he's awesome. He's dodging bullets in this. And dude's like 47 years old, but he still fights like he's 20. Guy's nuts.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any lines though. He doesn't talk.
There you go. Keep it simple.
Yeah. But that's really all I can say about Bad City. I really just wasn't impressed. At the end of the day, it's very forgettable. Very forgettable.
Well, that's all I have.
All right. The only other one that I will mention is Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. This came out on VOD. It's been playing theaters for a while, but it came out on VOD this week. It's directed by Helena Rain, and it's a slasher. Well, sort of a slasher movie. It's a horror comedy, and it's about a group of 20-something rich 20-somethings who are having a hurricane party in this like the this big mansion, and it's actually Pete Davidson's dad's mansion, and one of them ends up dying. They play this game called Bodies, Bodies, Bodies that like it's basically like Werewolf, like One Night Ultimate Werewolf, if you've heard of that, where it's like a party game where someone is the killer, and then they turn the lights off, the killer murders someone, and then they have to figure out like who. It's like a murder mystery thing. But while they're playing this game, someone actually does die.
Oh no.
And it causes these giant rifts to form between them, and they start like questioning each other's loyalties and accusing each other, and like secrets come out, and the body count starts to increase. And the thing is, like, they're all horrible people, and you don't really care that any of them get killed. And they're very intentionally horrible. It's they don't. There's no like. There's nothing saving these people. However, I will say that the main character in this is played by Maria Bakalova, who most people will know from Borat 2. And she is great in this movie. Like, I believe she was nominated for a Golden Globe for her performance in Borat 2, but I hope that she blows up because she is such a good actor. And so she's really good in this. Lee Pace is in here. He's whatever. He doesn't have much to do with his character. Same with Pete Davidson. Pete Davidson is like a real douche in this.
Get out of here.
Pete Davidson playing a douche? What?
No.
Yeah. So it's fine. Like it was pretty good. It goes to places you don't expect. That's for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's available on VOD. Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I'd give it a light recommend. All right. Let's take a look at what we have in theaters this week. We got Bros coming out. It's the rom-com. We have a review for this up on the site right now, actually.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, Chris saw it at TIFF. And then we have Smile. This is the horror movie. I'm slightly interested in Smile. I don't know that I'm interested enough to go see it in the theater, though. On VOD this week, let's see. Starting with the 27th, we have We Found Something. That's a horror movie. Looks like a creature feature, maybe?
Hell yeah.
Looks like some kind of weird, like a werewolf type creature.
Never mind.
We have Nyx. That's also on the 27th. That's a horror movie as well. That's directed by I think the person who did Sharknado.
Oh boy.
But I mean, by the looks of it, I didn't see the trailer or anything, but I just saw like the poster and stuff. It looks like this one's kind of serious. On the 28th, we have Blonde. That's going to be on Netflix. That's the Marilyn Monroe one. NC-17.
All right. Great.
Yeah, that's it's kind of rare that a movie gets rated NC-17 these days. I mean, I guess it was always kind of rare.
Yeah, it just seems sillier now with streaming services.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like
Yeah,
most
okay.
most movies just don't even bother getting rated. I think maybe just because this is a high profile release.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably playing in theaters as well. On the 30th, we have Vesper. That is a sci-fi, like post-apocalypse type movie. This actually looks pretty interesting. I'm interested in this one.
Yeah, I did not know anything about this.
Yeah, I just recently saw like a little teaser for it or something, and it looks kind of like it might be up my alley. I'm not sure. We have Devil's Workshop. We have Inhospitable. I think that's a documentary about hospitals.
Oh, gotcha. Yep.
We have Mona Lisa and the Blood Moon. This is another one that I'm actually interested in. This is the new one from Anna Lily Amirpour.
Oh, for real?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What?
Kate Hudson.
What?
Yeah. It looks pretty cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'll be checking it out. Let's see what else we have here. The Justice of Bunny King. The Wild Man. After She Died. We got God's Creatures. And we also have what's that?
I said, nice. God's Creatures coming out.
Oh, yeah. A24. Let's see what else. My Best Friend's Exorcism. It's going to be on Amazon Prime. So, a lot to choose from.
Yeah, a whole slate of films coming out.
I know. There's a lot of good stuff. All right, on Blu-ray this week, my normal site, my normal Blu-ray.com site is not working right now. So I have to go with High Def Digest's calendar. So I don't know. I don't trust them as much, but we'll see.
Shout out High Def Digest.
Let's see. We got Blood of the Chupacabra. That's a double feature. We got After Blue, Dirty Paradise. Bulletproof. That's the Vinnie Jones one that dropped like just a couple weeks ago on VOD. Buried Alive from 1989. Code E. We got Dead North. Hearts Beat Loud. Mind Melters 3.
Yeah. Mind Melters 3. What?
Yeah.
Looking that up. Nothing? I'm not getting any matches.
It says, see topless Tiki Island women in terror, monster music videos, and watch Mark and Clark take on a maniac in a blue ox suit.
What?
This is just the tip of the cannibal spear of mayhem being jabbed in your brain in Mind Melters 3.
Huh. That sounds like a mess.
It might be maybe it's an anthology or something. I don't know.
I don't either.
Those are really the only big ones that I see here on this list. What about Criterion's?
Oh, we got two Criterions. First one we got is Sound of Metal from 2019, if you remember Sound of Metal.
I do remember it. I never saw it.
I did. It's okay.
I mean, it's a weird... I feel like it's a weird one to include in Criterion, but...
Yes, very much so. I guess they just get some money. Get that money. And then the other one is a box set, which is Martin Scorsese's World Cinema Project number 4. So the fourth one in the box set collection of Martin Scorsese World Cinema. You get, I think it's, 6 films. 6 films in that box set for $100. $100.
It's pretty good. Cool. Well, yeah, I'll be definitely looking at that lineup. I think it's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @FilmPulseNet and @FilmPulseKevin. And if you have a minute, consider reviewing us on iTunes. That would be great. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.